Okay, I'd like to call the Site Plan Review Committee to order for Tuesday, August 3rd. Roll call, please.
Mayor Podolsky,
Here.
Dennis Persick,
Here.
Dan Pamprin,
Here.
Gary Paul,
Here.
Chris Atkinson,
Here.
Andy Krowski,
Here.
Neil Flynn.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, review plans for the following locations. 5A, action regarding site plan review for revised the Bohemian Park, Phase 2, 2100 Holmgren Way, parcel VA-67-A-2. Aaron.
Okay. So this is a revision to the site plan that was previously approved for the Bohemian Park Phase 2. You probably remember this was to be a 5-story building. Due to some construction costs, other factors, it's been reduced to a 4-story building in line with the existing 4-story building. In terms of the site plan and the overall design of the building, if you can picture them taking out basically floor number 4 and taking all the design elements from floor number 5 and just dropping them down 1 floor. So from a design standpoint, you won't really notice anything different except for just the 1 floor being out. Just a couple renderings here that you can see. Otherwise, the retail area on the corner of Morrison Holmgren are still the same, as well as the interior parking you see here, underground parking. Everything still remains the same as what was originally approved. It's just instead of a 5-story building, it is now a 4-story building. Representatives of the ownership group, Tim Walaz and Mariana Grande, thank you, from Engberg Anderson Architects are in the audience. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm sure they could answer the questions as well.
Aaron, when this came through the first time, we do have a building that Madam President called the Wall Building, which would have been the convention center, and I call this one the second wall building. I'm kind of disappointed in it going down 1 floor, but I guess we have to accept the circumstances that we do have at this time and cost of material. I hope it keeps that view that the 5-story has for the 4-story people. Other than that, what can we say about it? It's the same as, other than 1 floor down, so. If there's no other questions, I'll move to approve as presented with staff conditions.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Are there any other comments? I would just like to say I talked to Tim before the meeting started, and it is unfortunate it has to go to four floors, but understandable in this day and age with the building costs, but it still is a beautiful building.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 5B, action regarding requested site plan review for the Grove Schneider Innovation Center, 3101 Packerland, parcel VA-35-28. Aaron.
All right. This actually also is a resubmittal of a previous plan that Schneider National had, but it was located previously on their office campus off of Griffiths and South Ridge. As you can see in the building, this will be located on the corporate campus on Packerland. It'd be the southwest corner of their campus in a wooded area, hence the name of the Grove. As you can see from the exterior elevations, it will be a glass curtain wall building, primarily 1 story with a slight mezzanine level, which will also screen any rooftop mechanicals. There's a small parking lot associated with the property or the building. Just show you that quickly here. didn't bring that one up. Anyway, the parking lot, you can see it right here in front of the building. Minimal parking necessary to accommodate the IT staff, which is currently actually on the campus. So they'll be relocating to this property, or to this building. There'll also be a concrete patio overlooking the stormwater retention basin. There'll be some unique photovoltaic panels, kind of the sun tracker, meant to be a more of a green type building. In terms of recommended staff conditions, all metal panels, including the refuse enclosure, required to use concealed fasteners. Catch-all, meet all applicable parts of 17-2-200 and all other applicable parts of the Ashwaubenon Municipal Code. From engineering, contact Al Farber to get quotes and schedule install of 8-inch water lateral and 4-inch sewer lateral. Development will need to obtain Brown County Highway work in right-of-way permit to cross Packerland Drive. From public safety, ensure fire lane requirements are met per municipal code. A Knox box was required near the main entrance. A remote FDC and agreed upon with designer due to unique building features and fire access concerns. So there'll be a remote FDC on the property. Forestry had no comments, and from Bike and Ped, include bicycle parking for the employees that is compatible with the guidelines of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals near the main entrance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I've got one regarding, they're going to have solar panels?
There'll be, two or three panels, actually sun tracker panels shaped as, yep, those right there, kind of like a flower shape, individually mounted on the ground.
Do they need any kind of special permit or anything for those?
No, under state statute, state statutes require a community to be pretty loose when it comes to alternative energy requirements.
These are pretty cool. They are.
They are.
Where are they?
The solar, the smart flowers. Smart
Similar to what they have at NWTC, right?
Right, yep, exactly.
More out of curiosity, are they gonna be using it to power the building, or are they using it just for like charging stations and?
You know what, I'm not sure, but I know, knowing the amount of IT capacity will be in that building, that will not power the building.
Well, or be dumped back into.
Right, yep,
the
exactly.
building. Got it.
Yep.
Very cool.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion.
To approve with staff conditions?
Absolutely.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve with staff conditions. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 5C, action regarding amending section 17-6-500 Village of Ashwaubenon Municipal Code relating to off-street parking. Aaron?
This is an issue that was brought up by a number of restaurant owners within the village. What they found is that throughout the COVID pandemic is that there's been a strong interest in outdoor seating and dining, whether it's just for COVID purposes or because, quite honestly, people just like being outside when it's nice in northern climes like this. What's holding two restaurants back specifically is they are capped out at their off-street parking minimums. They asked me to take a look, said, you know, where is Ashwaubenon in terms of parking standards and compared to other municipalities, because they would really like to and quite honestly need to add an outdoor dining option to their, for their patrons. I did some research, including your packet, and what I did is I looked at what I call peer communities. So it was De Pere, Appleton, Wausau, Oshkosh, someone else was in there. And just took a look at their off-street parking requirements for restaurants and similar type uses. What I found was that we meaning Ashwaubenon, did require quite a bit more off-street parking than other municipalities of similar size and entertainment options that we have. Previously, we had relaxed off-street parking requirements within the village center and state and sports entertainment districts. This option, as proposed, seems to be a nice middle ground in terms of the requirements that other communities have and what we currently have. At the end of the spreadsheet that I used, I did include a kind of an example of a restaurant of a certain size and capacity and what number of off-street parking spaces would be required. So you can see on there what we currently require, what would be proposed. I can bring that up here just for reference. Zoom out a little bit here. So as you can see in the spreadsheet, as we currently stand for Ashwaubenon, we require one space for each 2 persons based on maximum capacity plus 1 space per employee. So pretty straightforward. The maximum capacity question comes up quite a bit. So in terms of administration, that's a question that we had to deal with. But in terms of this example building, a 6,100 square foot restaurant, 4,000 square foot gross customer area, and 100 person capacity with 10 employees, under our current code, we require 60 off-street spaces minimum for that property. Green Bay, under their code, require 20. De Pere, under their code, 49. I've come to the age where I require cheaters now. Bear with me. De Pere at 49, Appleton at 34, Oshkosh at 21, Wausau at 20. So again, we were certainly higher than our peer communities. What I'm proposing as a amendment to the off-street parking is 1 space per 3 persons at maximum interior seating capacity plus 1 space per 500 square foot exterior seating area. Under our current code, we use the term capacity, which capacity has different meanings for different statutes, requirements, whether it's fire code, whether it's building code. Seating capacity seems to make it a lot easier to administer because you count up the number of seats that you have, there's your seating capacity, okay? And I believe including the 500 square foot exterior seating area helps to take into account any outdoor spaces that may be included. What I have noticed in other places that do have outdoor seating, if it's really nice out, the outdoor seating is busy, but inside might be really dead. So the amendment as proposed would require 34 spaces off-street for the same restaurant, which again puts us in the ballpark of the other municipalities that I inventoried.
How many spaces did you say?
34.
34.
Yeah. This would also, under my notes, allow for documentation of parking agreements with adjacent properties. So say, for instance, you have the restaurant next to an office space. The office space typically is used between 8 and 5. Restaurants are more often used between 5 and midnight. So again, it has some synergies there to minimize this amount of parking that was required. And also to include a calculation of on-street parking where it's allowed within 50 feet of property boundaries. So again, take it more of a, I guess, a real-world look at what parking is currently available and what do we then require as a municipality. So that's kind of the background of where it came from. I want to bring it to Site Plan Review Committee for your thoughts before it goes to Plan Commission and Village Board.
I did have one thought, and just a comment, and I just think it's a very good idea that you included documenting any kind of agreement they'd have with an adjacent property owner and have to be on file, so there's no confusion about what, right? Is it, okay.
Yep.
I think it's a good thing.
Thank you.
So when I look at some of these other municipalities, so let's just use Green Bay and Appleton for an example. I mean, they have parking facilities available to a lot of the restaurants that are public. We really don't have any public parking facilities around restaurants. I mean, so that's a consideration to look at.
And I thought about that same issue. And you think about downtown Appleton, downtown Green Bay. In a lot of restaurants, there's no parking.
Very little, yeah.
Yeah. And And then I look at outside of the downtown areas, say East Mason Street, Military Avenue, so on and so forth. They have the same parking standards there, but there's no public structures that they have in those areas, but yet it still seems to work. So, I think to a degree, there's a balance to strike there. I think this does that, but certainly the public structure is something that, I took a look at and I thought, how does that impact Ashwaubenon? And we don't have any public structures, but I think this still will address probably 90% of the off-street parking necessary. And talking with some of the business owners, they said if we're addressing 90%, that's what they're shooting for. They said there are times where they're going to be full. They're hoping for that, it's quite honestly.
I also brought up to Aaron before about the Packer games, but the street parking is labeled and posted no parking day of Packer games. We do have a lot of street parking around certain areas, like if you look at the entertainment area, we have a lot of parking on the streets where a lot of, like you go down Military, you go down Mason, they don't have any street parking at all. So that is something to
Well, I just
consider
think of
too.
like Stadium View. I
Pardon?
mean, I think of Stadium View and think about taking Stadium View and taking 40% of their parking away. I mean, but that lot's virtually packed all the time. So we're really looking.
Football season, really.
Well, and I think
Like a
something else,
Saturday night, they're packed.
yeah, and
And I don't know how much of it is the bar or the
Right.
doozies and they're all walking to all three of them, but.
Right.
I mean, they have weddings there and packing. I'm like, man, we take 25, 30, 40% of their parking away. I mean, we're not taking it away, but I mean, given the ability to expand that building another, 30 or 40 parking stalls.
so in the case of,
Dan, I think I know where you're going with that, but, in reality, Ashwaubenon does not have that much off-street parking when you think about going down to Green Bay, staying at the Republic Chop House or someplace like that. You've got a whole block of area 2 blocks on either side, 1 block on either side of the Chop House to park, which are square blocks. In Ashwaubenon, everything is cut up so much, other than in some of the residential, that we really don't have the off-street parking that a Green Bay community of that size has because of their square blocks. So, and where you're going with that, Dan, I understand what you're saying. We're taking 40% away. But if they don't have what they got, they can't hold the banquets they got neither. So they're forced to have a big parking lot. So I don't have a problem with this. I sat down with Aaron yesterday on it, and after, I wasn't for it at first. I didn't like the idea of cutting down parking, but when you look at other municipalities, I think we fall in line to say that we can do it here and be comfortable with it. But the ones that do need parking, they got to have parking land as much as Stadium View, Andrewsi's, the bar. All 3 of them have got good-sized parking lots. And they
think if I
can't
could
take
just-
that away.
if I could just address the kind of the stadium and sports entertainment district and the village center district, again, it's probably 3 years ago, I believe it was, when we actually eliminated minimum parking standards within those areas, provided that they provide a parking plan, specifies how you're going to handle their parking requirement. So Stadium View, Andrewsi's, the bar, there is no minimum off-street parking requirement in those areas right now. Now, that said, they still have to have a plan for how you're going to handle parking. But I just want to make sure that's clear.
But like if you go on a Saturday night, and I don't know this from experience because I normally go by Andy's. No, you go there on a Saturday night. If you drive behind, what is that, Brett Favre Way or whatever, I mean, that street is lined up on both sides all the way down. And that's behind Stadium View and all that. I mean, so all that parking is being utilized severely on a Saturday night. Now, I don't know if that's banquet nights for
I would have to think it's banquet night, Dan. I know what you're saying. You go back, you take Brett Favre Pass back to Tony Canadale.
Yeah.
On down to past the Spring Suites Hotel, whatever. A lot of cars down there, but some of them could be over at Burkle's. Some of them could be parked in the street because of the hotel. Some of them may park on the street because it's closer to walk from the backside than it is to park on the far end of the parking lot.
Well, I honestly think it's the employees.
Well, that's a
That's
good
what I
point. They
think.
got to
I
park too.
think they've
Yeah.
said, go park out
Yeah.
on the street, leave the parking lots
Yeah,
for
that's a
our
good point.
customers, so. I mean, I'm just bringing some of that stuff up.
Yep. No, there's all
Matter
good
to me.
points.
I mean, if you're gonna build a 8,000 square foot building and put in 4 parking stalls, that's your problem, I guess.
I think the surrounding areas too, like rideshare is a lot more popular than it is here. I mean, it still takes quite a bit of time to get an Uber or a Lyft. We don't have any designated drop-off zones. So
Yeah.
it's kind of when something's extremely busy and congested and you're trying to like find your Uber, you have nowhere to go. Like, personally, I don't think it would be a bad idea to discuss if you're gonna drop off parking at restaurants, you have one designated spot for Uber and one designated spot for Lyft, just like they do with DoorDash. You know, that
Good
way,
point.
at least you know where you can go. Maybe that'll help push the ride share up a little bit in the area if it's easier, right? Not,
Good
you know,
point.
not that I would know, but,
Well, that's a good idea.
you know, I mean, if I go out now downtown, I just Uber down there and Uber back, and I can tell, it is a disaster. Because you have people trying to pull in and get them spots right in the front. If you just had a designated area, it would make it a lot easier. I think people would utilize it more, and that would keep people from drinking and driving down the roads too.
That might be our opportunity to get that now,
Right.
if we're
You
gonna
know-
reduce this. Because that's my experience down at that district stadium, is picking my kids up.
Yeah.
Because we don't let them drive.
Yeah, I like your idea.
Right. You know, and I mean,
That's a very
honestly,
good
like,
idea.
We had plenty of parking at Andy K's.
Yeah, but the kids don't wanna drink at Andy.
Yeah, that's okay.
last time I went over,
I'm
like,
all right with that.
up by your other gas station there by the restaurant, I mean, you can't even get through there at night. Ubering down there was even, or over there was just a nightmare.
So what I'm thinking is it might be, instead of requiring those rideshare uses in off-street parking businesses, it might be something where we designate certain on-street stalls for rideshare service.
For sure. I mean,
So 5-minute rideshare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I think it's a good point that
That's a
he
very
brought
good
up,
idea.
because I talk to a lot of people his age, if I can't get front row parking, I can't walk in because my age bothers me. But anyway, a lot of people do use the rideshare program. I think you brought up a real good point there to
I
look
think
into that.
now is the time to do it. If we're looking
Correct.
at changing an ordinance and dropping parking, I mean, it might just be a good enough push to help strengthen that ride share through our community, which sports and entertainment district, we obviously need it. I mean, there's improvements to be made with all that going on. You know, our infrastructure is extremely important.
That's a very good
I
idea.
know, Aaron, that's good what you said, designate some spots for that, Will you
Talk
enforce
closer to
that
your
then?
mic, please, Andy.
Will you
Thank you.
enforce that then?
Right, we'd have to set up an ordinance to designate certain stalls, and then we have to sign them, and we'd have to enforce it.
So in case people ignore the sign and then they can get ticketed or told away or whatever.
I honestly
That'd be
don't
just-
think it would be hard to enforce.
Well, I think some people just don't pay attention.
Well, it'd be the
Some-
same thing as a handicap, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's-
Can't park in a, although I've seen young people driving a handicap walk out of the car in better shape than
Yeah.
half of us here. I know damn well they're not handicapped.
It should be pretty easy to tell. If you drive by and there's nobody in a car and its lights are off, they're obviously not using it for a ride share.
Yeah,
So otherwise, the car should really never be.
So I guess if it's good with you, what I might do is grab Doug and Tony and probably Chief Uhl and just kind of say this came up at Site Plan Review Committee as something we should take a look at for a couple on-street parking spaces within the entertainment district, as well as might just be, a couple places just around the community.
Right.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, that should cut down on even on traffic going through congested parking lots. Should be less fender benders, all, which I guess is all good things.
And I think it would be self-police, because once
I do too.
everybody knows that that's
Yep.
the Uber spot, I mean, somebody pulls in there and tries to park while you're standing there to get an Uber, they're gonna be like, hey, you gotta get out of here.
Yeah, you think they'll say that nice, huh, Dan?
That will be volunteer.
Okay,
Uber,
All right, I'll make a motion here that everybody spoke good comments on where we think we should go, that we should table this, bring it back to staff, and look at, including what Aaron brought up, and then include,
I don't know, Gary, if you want to table this item
I'm not,
until,
well, I'm saying table it, bring it back to staff, and then look at the idea of sharing job, or
well,
sharing rights.
that's a process, though, going to get an ordinance put in place to have the on-street parking specifically labeled for Uber and Lyft. That's a process.
Yeah,
So
we
we need
understand
to, I mean, it's a several-month process.
Do we need to separate these two issues?
I guess, from staff's perspective, I'd like to separate the two. I
Right.
do have a number of restaurants who are waiting on this,
Eagerly
Yes.
awaiting, I'm sure.
because they want to get their
Yes.
patios in yet this fall, so that they're ready next spring.
Okay,
Right, I mean,
that makes sense.
everybody's saying there's another wave of COVID coming. I mean, everybody is extremely fearful as to what could potentially happen, so I wouldn't want to slow them down on that. But I do think that tying something into saying that we're gonna look at designated rideshare would be a good thing,
And I can include that in the staff report that goes to Plan Commission and Village Board.
for sure.
All right.
Right.
Well,
So,
get
that
feedback
makes
from the restaurant people, or as to the Uber thing, they might say, well, we might do two of them or something. I don't
Right.
know. A little-
Right,
so for this, we need a motion to recommend approval if you agree with these lowered parking standards.
All right.
So that's one item, and then the next item would be.
Well, it wouldn't be a separate agenda
wouldn't be
item.
a s- No,
It would
okay,
just
because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Okay,
It's, as staff, I'll run with that.
okay.
so I would make a motion to approve
The parking.
the reduction in parking spaces as discussed.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend the reduced parking as discussed. Any more conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good point.
Okay. Okay. Number 6, department reports.
Let's see, it's been a busy couple of days. Both Eric and Katie are working really hard on keeping up to speed on all of the work that's going on in the community right now. You probably see the Titletown apartment buildings are getting pretty close to being finished. Alden Station continues to boom. Just issued a couple more building permits for down there. Soon for Alden Station, we'll be seeing the first grouping of 4 townhomes and condominium building. Won't be next agenda item yet, or next meeting, but soon you'll be seeing those come through site plan review committee. So even with the high construction costs, hopefully there's some relief on the horizon there. We still see quite a bit of development activity in the village. So I think it's a really good thing for the village to continue to grow like the way it is.
Okay. And right now, we don't have any items for next.
We do.
We do have items for next agenda, so we will have a meeting in 2 weeks. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're done. Thank you, everybody.
This conference